So I'm working on my in-season content schedule. Right now, NFL kickoff is in 9 days, so a week from this upcoming Thursday. It crept the fuck up on me. Sorry, I'm gonna take these out. When I need like a really focused day of work, I literally shut everything out. I put these on, noise canceling, I close my blinds, literally no distractions. I'm like a fucking robot in here. The season crept up really quickly because typically, you know, we'd have preseason games and we'd be getting hyped for the entirety of August. We'd usually have the NYC draft weekend vlog, which was obviously canceled because of COVID. And now the season is basically upon us. I have to figure out how we want to switch from off-season content to in-season content kind of flawlessly. And it gets really difficult because everything's on a strict manner in season because you have 1 week that's played on Sunday. People want the information Monday, Tuesday for waiver wire. They want all their stuff ASAP. And we're human, right? Like we can only write a blog post so quickly. We can only make a video and edit it so quickly, but we want to make sure it's valuable, informational, entertaining, like well done. So I'm trying to figure out, because we've been doing 6 videos a week during the summer. We have my video on Monday, my video on Tuesday, bunk bed on Wednesday, a mock draft on Thursday, Fade the Public Friday. I do a live stream on Saturday, and now we have the weekly best of content on Sunday, thanks to our new editor, Robert. And now I'm like, okay, we're putting out 6 to 7 videos a week. We're not gonna be able to do that in season. So what kind of content do we wanna make? And I remember around this time last year, I was like really excited to be making content and getting a ton of engagement and growth and, you know, making a lot of money at the time, whatever, right? The numbers were shooting through the roof at this point, and they're doing well right now. But I remember as soon as we transitioned to in-season shit, like I got burnt out so quickly within like the first month of the season. And my main priority going into this year was to make sure that I'm not doing work that I don't enjoy. Otherwise, again, I'm gonna get burnt out, and then the entire month of like January, February, I'm gonna need to fucking vacation and get my head right again. And I just don't wanna keep putting myself in a roller coaster of emotions year in and year out. So I'm trying to like take a step back and see the bigger picture. Like, what is it that burns me out? What types of content do I not enjoy doing? Like, what about the in-season stuff is it that makes me feel that way, or makes me feel the way I did last year and the year before? And I've come to the realization that the content I least like doing is the one where I need to be on like a Zoom type call with other people. One, like I don't like, not to sound like a fucking little bitch, but I don't like to be on other people's time, and not in the sense like I need to have fucking power over them, but I feel like energetic and creative during certain times. And I want to make sure that if I'm making a piece of content, like if that inspiration or creativity hits me at this time, like I can dive right into it and make good content for you guys. So sometimes, like with Bunk Bed Breakdowns, we film at like 9 or 10 o'clock on a Sunday night sometimes, and by that time I'm worn out from the weekend. I'm not like energized to film, and I do my best. Like obviously I come on there and I try to be as energetic as I can for you guys, but a lot of the times I just like don't have it. And I hate putting myself in a place like that because I think that's what burns me out, right? Continuing to do that like 2-3 times a week. And last year, I think our content was like, I did that with Noah once, I did it with Dr. Morse once, I did it with Joe Holka once for DFS. That's once per week. So I did like 3 of those videos per week. So I want to cut that down immediately. And I'm okay doing it for Bunk Bed Breakdowns because I like filming with Mike and Noah, but I think what I'm going to actually do, and I know you guys are probably not gonna like it, but again, you know, sometimes it's about the audience, but more so like you're not gonna get the best shit out of me if you don't have the good parts of me in the other 4 or 5 videos a week. So what I think I'm gonna actually do is probably tell Dr. Morse that we're not gonna do a weekly injury video because they already put out so much content on their channel, and I could just point you guys towards what they're doing, right? So I could just say like, I'm not doing the injury video with Dr. Morse, but he's already doing that. Like I bring no value to that conversation realistically, right? You guys watch that video from a medical standpoint, wanna know if your players are injured or whatnot, like you could still get that from their side of the thing, right? So it's not like you're watching it to watch me and you're losing out on that piece. I'm just asking him the questions, right? I'm just the moderator, the middleman here. With him too, I mean, he's a real life doctor, obviously, right? He gets out of his patient clinic, whatever he's doing at like 5, 6 o'clock at night. And typically, you know, my energy's kind of zapped by, you know, 3 or 4 o'clock, and I don't really have a lot of energy to film after that, which is why I film most of my shit from like 9 a.m. to 2 p.m., right? And that's where you get the best version of me, in my opinion. With that being said, like I'm not doing the DFS stuff with Joe because one, like that was something I just did for you guys, but it was totally not something, I don't even play DFS, and I don't like making those types of videos. So that's definitely out for this year. And then I'm gonna have the tough conversation with Dr. Morse. I know he's gonna be disappointed, but I gotta do what's best for me. So I would rather be able to make videos that are just myself, but being able to create them whenever I want, like whenever I feel the creative creative urge to do good research and do good filming and be able to put some time in to edit it. So that's the way I look at this stuff. Like it's difficult to schedule out times when everything is on such a strict, timely manner, and I'm also really cognizant of making sure that I like factor in these energy and these mental things. And a lot of people don't look at it the way I do, and that's okay. Like you might be like, Nick, you're fucking weirdo, you're crazy, but I've been through this cycle for like 2 to 3 years now that I know what's best for me. And I think that's like a really important, I don't want to say lesson here, but like if you guys ever find yourself getting burnt out with things, like take a step back and try to figure out like the core of the problem. Anytime you have like problems or issues in life, there's usually like a deeper core meaning to it than what you just see on the surface, right? I could say like, oh, I'm getting burnt out because I'm putting, out 5-6 videos a week, but like, okay, if I start putting out 5 to 6 videos a week that I really enjoy making, I'm probably not gonna get burnt out doing it. And I've learned the lesson the last couple of years, and this time around I said, like intentionally, I'm going to make sure that that's not the case for this year. So I'm gonna do what's best for me, which in turn will end up being best for you guys. But now I have to figure out the actual physical logistics of how we're gonna film, because typically Animal and Snacks come on Mondays, stay over, we film Tuesdays. But I do a live stream during the in-season stuff on Tuesdays when we typically would film Fade the Public. So what I'm thinking, and we were gonna do a Monday night live stream during the season for Fade the Public, during Monday Night Football, like recap the previous week, Monday Night Football live stream. What I'm thinking is I might ask them to come over on Sundays now so we could like watch football together, live stream Sunday night, film Monday morning, film bunk bed breakdowns Monday night, and then still have my live stream for Tuesday. And that'll knock out the Monday content, Tuesday content, the Wednesday content, and the Friday content right there. So then I have to figure out what I want to do Thursday, Saturday. Saturday will always be a Q&A with the Patreons. Thursday, I'm thinking about a few different content ideas that I've had in my head, unless we do Fade the Public on Thursday, because we are filming it a day earlier. If we do that and then do it Friday, this has been tough. So this entire day is almost like planning, because we're getting to the point where like draft research is almost come to a conclusion. Like I have 2 or 3 more videos to make that are gonna help people prep with their drafts, but they all have it within the next like 5 days. So I'm starting to look forward to content that's gonna be a weekly staple of what we're doing in season. So I'm gonna go back to the whiteboard. I hope some of that made sense, and this is where I will be for the next like 3 hours. So I'm on my roof, and take a very smart person to understand that. So I'm trying out this new lens that I bought. I didn't really buy it. I got it from Amazon. It's this new Sony lens, and it's like 12 to 24 millimeters with an f2.8 aperture. For those of you that have no idea what that means, it's really fucking good. It means it can go widescreen like this, or zoom in and still give you that like very blurry background that makes it like a little bit cinematic. There's almost no zoom lenses that do that, like zoom in, zoom out, that keep a really, the smaller the aperture, it's usually like 4.0, 2.8, and 1.4. The smaller it is, the more blurry the background is. And this is the first one of Sony that they, I think this one actually might be the first ever that they made a zoom 2.8 aperture lens. So I wanted to test it out and see what it's all about. It was literally like $3,000, but I bought it through Amazon and they do free 30-day returns. So I kind of wanted to just fuck around with them. I'm gonna end up returning it in like a week or 2. We'll probably use it for the E-Town Get Down draft, but I thought it'd be cool to come up on the rooftop because we'll probably get some good views. As you can see, I had to jump over the fucking corner over there. You're not really supposed to be on this side of the roof, but no one gives a shit. But the problem is, like, you can't really see over everything if you're on that side, and the good view is over here. So this is like the skyline. It looks fantastic at night. It's funny because I've been doing video stuff for like
8 years now, and I still have no idea how to actually work a camera in a professional manner. I still have no idea what shutter speed is. I still have no idea what ISO is. I put everything to auto, and I just assume when you buy good equipment, like a $3,000 lens and a $1,500 camera, when you put auto as a setting, it just takes care of itself, right? Like that should be the case. I shouldn't have to buy $5,000 and still have to know shit, right? What a spoiled bitch I am. Whew. My shoulder's on fire. This lens is absolutely massive. It's like the length of my entire hand. It looks pretty good on the flip-up screen. We'll have to see what it looks like when I put it on camera though, or when I put it on my laptop. Sorry if you can't hear anything. They got these fucking things going on in the background that are super loud. I don't even know what they do. But I like to come up to the rooftop to relax, to drink sometimes, to hang out with friends, to get a tan, work on my laptop, to read a little bit. Whatever, it's an all-purpose deck. And there's also this apartment building on the other side, which is funny because you could like look into other people's apartments, and sometimes you'll see like back-to-back people that don't actually live together but are doing things right next to each other. It's really not actually funny at all, but if someone sees me videotaping them, they're probably gonna be pissed. They look really cool. I wonder how much these apartments cost rent-wise. The tops on these always creep me out a little bit. It always feels like if someone was kidnapped, like they would be kept in this little box up there. There's just no need for that. I honestly don't even know where the Empire State Building is. I know it's that way somewhere. It might be that one over there. I think it might be more that way though. So this is 9th Ave right here, and then that's downtown. That's uptown. So you got Upper West Side, Upper East Side. I'm in Hell's Kitchen. Then you have, you know, going downtown, you've got Greenwich Village, the West Village, Lower East Side, Soho, Nolita, all those spots down there. Manhattan's really not that confusing once you understand that it's just a fucking big grid. Like think of this as Manhattan, uptown, downtown, and it's all just like 110, 90th, 80th, 70th, 60th, 50th, 40th, 30th, 20th, 9th, 12th, 11th, 12th, skirt!
I'm actually about to ride my bike over to Times Square right now and get some cool footage. Bike, Times Square, me, you. The lens is fucking too big for me to do that stupid thing that vloggers do, where they cover it and they open up at the next place.
Where have you gone? It's been 7 solid days withdrawn. Oh no, see, I don't care. I just want to know you're unimpaired. It's okay, take your time. Our restraints are still aligned. We're the product of a crowded youth. And though I'm vain, full of pride, strictly cavalier inside, I'd scratch all that I amounted to. I don't ever wanna let you go. You're the only one who lets me in. But every time I try to hold my own, yeah, I can never seem to get a grip. And I don't ever wanna give you up. I always say I'll get ahead of it, but every time they try to fix me up, I get addicted to the medicine. But now I'm shook. It's been 7 solid weeks we've stood. And babe, from what I've heard,
Editing up some of the clips that I filmed up on the rooftop. The lens is definitely dope, no doubt. The other thing about the lower aperture, I explained upstairs before, the lower the aperture, the more blurry the background is. It's also better in low lighting. So when it's darker out, or if you're in a low light situation where there's not good lighting in your apartment, like myself, it also comes out a lot crispier, which will be good for the E-Town Get Down draft because we're doing it downstairs and we have no actual natural lighting. We only have like lights on the walls and the lamps and stuff, which come out weird when you're videotaping it. The problem though with a lens like this, when you get a lot of people don't know if you're getting into like videography, and a lot of people ask me like, what kind of camera do you use? And I'm always like, one thing you'll learn quickly is it's actually not really the camera that does the work. It is the type of lens that you get. Like they're equally, if not way more important for your content. The problem is like I have this lens, and this lens is like the fisheye lens. So it goes from 10 millimeters up to 18. The one you're watching on right now is 12 to 24. The lower you get, the more wide angle it gets. That's like some of the videos that you've seen get like really wide on my videos. That's a really cool look for a vlog. The problem is like this and that don't do too much different things, but this aperture is lower. That aperture is 4.0, so it doesn't have like the low light, crispy background kind of thing. But the difference in price, like I said, this was $3,000. This was, I think, $700 or $800. You can definitely get a used one for about $700 off like eBay or something. And the difference in terms of like the quality to the naked eye is just not worth $2,300. If I was someone who made the majority of my income via my vlogs, or like I did daily vlogging or something, and I was really, really serious about it, this would be maybe a lens that I would invest into. But $3,000 for a lens, if you're not a professional photographer, if you're not a professional videographer, I think is kind of absurd. So the difference in quality between this and that and what you guys see on the screen is just so not worth that price range, in my opinion. Cool to have, but like you gotta be fucking rich to enjoy this. Steve's been trying to get me to go to Red Lobster since I've known him, since we met in like 7th grade, like 13 years ago. Today on Twitter, I get tagged in this post like 45 times, and it's a tweet from Red Lobster. I'm like, why the fuck are people tagging me in a Red Lobster tweet? They released a new drink. Unfortunately, I've made margaritas a part of my brand to a detriment, right? It's like one of those things you buy into so heavily that there's no turning back. Like it's literally on my arm. They came out with a Dew-Garita, D-E-W, Garita, whatever. It's a margarita that they make. They partnered with Mountain Dew, and it's made with Mountain Dew. And it looks like this. Like you see it, and it looks like someone turned on the saturation. Like if for any fucking nerds that make pictures or whatever, it looks like you took the picture, the normal green picture of a margarita, and you just turn the saturation all the way up, and it's lime green. It's like alien-like. And someone texted me and was like, dude, your tattoo is a Dew-Garita. It's not a regular margarita. And I was like, fuck. People always ask, why is it so green? I was like, honestly, I don't know. Usually when I get tattoos, I kind of just like, I'm like, this is kind of what I want. Can you do something not like super fucked up? And then they just do it, and I'm like, fuck, it's not really what I wanted, but also I don't care that much. And that's what happened with this. I do love the margarita tattoo, but this looks exactly like it. So I was like, fuck, this is like the one and only chance. I know it would make Steve super happy, because it got to the point where I was just like, I'll never go with you for no reason, just to spite him. I'm like, I'll never go to Red Lobster. I would never step foot in that establishment. I fucking hate Red Lobster. Never tried anything from Red Lobster. So I'm just saying shit just to piss him off. And I see this, I'm like, fuck, I need to try all the margaritas that I possibly can. Once in a lifetime opportunity for Steve. This is like he's doing a make-a-wish. This is his fucking wish for me to go to Red Lobster with him. I'm just kidding, Steve, don't get mad. I know he's probably gonna text me right after that and be like, you fucking asshole. So I was like, all right, we going. I'm not really like trying to go far to go to Red Lobster, but like living in Manhattan, they don't have a lot of fucking Red Lobsters here. They do have one in Times Square, except they're not doing dining outside yet, which they've opened for most restaurants. So I'm meeting him at Penn Station. He works in the city, he works in Manhattan. So I'm meeting him at Penn Station in like an hour or so. We're gonna take the train to Secaucus. So people who make the commute from Jersey into New York and vice versa, usually go through Secaucus. That's like the main train center getting to the city. And there's a Red Lobster in Secaucus. Fortunately for him, because I would not have fucking gone if it was any further than that. So we're taking the train from Penn Station to Secaucus. We're gonna go to the Red Lobster in Secaucus. I'm gonna taste test the Dew-Garita. I'll report back to y'all once we do so. Is it not?
No.
It's a goat. Red Lobster, 2 trains, 1 Steve, 1 Dew-Garita. So we've arrived at Red Lobster.
I've tried a biscuit. My first time ever Red Lobster, and apparently every time someone brings up Red Lobster, someone tells a story about like someone dying from eating 130 of them because they're so fucking good. Can't confirm. Very fucking good. You wash it down with a Dugarita. Our waitress was very excited when we started talking about the Dugaritas. It's like, I haven't tried them yet, but I've been bringing them out. They're lime green. They do look like alien.
Put your hand up. Show them the contrast with your margarita tattoo.
Spot on.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful. Strong. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't know if there's Mountain Dew in here. Whatever they use to color this shit feels toxic. It's immediate, like, I feel like there's like fireworks going off in my chest right now. It's like when it's just a very strong liquor. What did they have like a menu for what this is?
Dugarita.
Dugarita. They don't tell you
That's it.
They don't tell you the ingredients for it. They just come out with a lime green drink that sets your fucking chest on fire. All right. I don't know if I went into this with really high or really low expectations. It's one or the other. It's either expected it to be like a 2.4 or a 9.4. I will give this score a. You ordered fries.
I did.
Enjoy.
5.8.
Bike. Dugaritas. No fucking absolute reason I should have made the trip to New Jersey to try those. But I do what the people want. I'm a man of the people. I'm a Democrat. I'm not trying to start a political fucking argument. I mean, I'm a democratic person. I believe in democracy. Do not go to Red Lobster for fucking anything. I'm about to get hit by multiple cars. Yeah. People are yelling. I'm asking why they're yelling. Welcome to the Big Apple. Keep calm for me. Oh, man, my block. No, next block. We're almost there. See, 12 people are on a fucking electric line. They got that shit down. You order something off one of these apps, they're here in like 5 minutes. It's ridiculous. Like, y'all motherfuckers cook the food too? In your backpack? Don't hit me. You're hitting me. His mama's yelling at me. Don't yell at me. You know, I fucking own a podcast. Oh, why yell? You can't yell at me. I own the word yelling. All right. I know it feels like I need to yell what's cracking, welcome bike, all that shit. I never do videos like this in my vlog where I'm like set up as I would for a regular fantasy video. But this vlog has taken me about fucking a full month to do and wrap up and get to the conclusion of. I've had about 17 seconds to breathe since the season started. I forgot how hectic shit gets during the season. And like Sunday to Wednesday, I've literally zero time to do anything. It's wild. Whoo, boy. And it is, what is it? It's Wednesday right now, and I'll probably be working pretty late into the night. It's like 4 o'clock, but I want to get a vlog out soon. And spoiler alert, I kept that fucking lens like an idiot. Point number 2. So the clip that you saw, I don't know if it was the last clip or if it was earlier on in the vlog or whatnot, but it was about New York. And this dude basically said like New York is dead after the coronavirus. And I understand like what he's talking about. And I live in Manhattan, man, and I didn't grow up here. I'm not from here originally. I was born in Brooklyn, but I lived in Jersey for like the last 25 years or so of my life. But I take pride in living in New York now, and it's because like I fell in love with the city when I was younger, and I love everything about New York. And a lot of people, of course, here are struggling because the prices got so high, whether it was paying rent
for restaurants, for living, for just like grocery shopping. And that stuff is still wildly expensive today, even though things are starting to get back to normal in a sense. But he was like, New York is dead. Like, it'll never be able to recover. And in the article, the in-depth article, I'll link it down below, he talked about like every aspect of life and how it's going to be kind of a shit show. And while I do agree it's going to be tough and there are going to be a lot of places that close down, I saw a statistic yesterday. I read it. It was on Instagram, so I don't know if you could take that for what it's worth, but it said like 9 out of 10 New York City restaurants were not able to pay rent in August. That seems like a pretty big fucking problem. I don't know if that's true. I don't know how legitimate that statistic is. I don't know if there are like plans in place to help save these restaurants, but I know some of the places around me have shut down. And it will take a while to recover, but with New York, like, yes, these tangible things are what make it awesome. Like going out and the restaurants and the bars and all of these things is what make New York, New York. But at the end of the day, and the reason that I live here and the reason that I don't know if I'll ever actually leave this city is not because of those things particularly. It's because of the energy behind it, man. It's like, it's not explainable. It's something that you feel when you're here, and it's the reason I wanted to move into Manhattan from Brooklyn. And, despite the prices being crazy and despite like a lot of negatives that you could find being here, there's just an intangible aspect to it that I don't think you'll ever be able to take away from New York. And I talk about this with people a lot when we talk about traveling, because when I first, they're like, I tell people about what I do for work and they're like, oh, you could really work from anywhere. Yeah, I could, of course, but I have my setup here. When I first started doing this, when I first like left my full-time job and I was still doing like marketing freelancing on the side, I was traveling a lot, man. I was traveling not too much internationally, but I was taking domestic trips like very, very often. I traveled to a lot of states around the country. I was up in Boston, Texas, Florida. I've been to New Orleans, Vegas, California multiple times, Carolina, kind of just like all over the place, right? And the job that I have obviously affords me the flexibility to do so, and I love it for that. But every time I go somewhere, realistically, like if you're from New York, you probably understand this. Every time you go somewhere, it's fun for like a weekend. Like that's the way I look at a lot of places. People are like, oh, could you see yourself living anywhere? And my honest answer is like the only place I could see myself living elsewhere outside of at least the East Coast, because that's where all my people are at. San Diego is one place I could see myself living in, but it's a very different like lifestyle and mindset that I would have to go. I wouldn't just move there just because I like it there. Like there'd have to be something in my life that there's a reason why I'm doing it, not just because I like it there. And with New York, it's like every time I go somewhere, there are very cool aspects of every place you go to, right? Like some cultures or some states, I'm talking mostly domestically. A lot of states have their own, financial districts and have their own bar and club scene and have their own art districts and different backgrounds and cultures within their state and their area. And every time I go, I'm like, yes, this is very cool for a little while, but I couldn't see myself living there. And when you come back to New York, you just like take for granted. I guess I grew up around here. So like you take for granted just how massive this city is. And it's like all of those little places around the country, but like times 50. It's like the coolest places of all of those states is New York, except 100 times over again. It's like miles and miles and miles of just like craziness, and you could literally do anything you want and do it at any time you want. When they say the city that never sleeps, it's like you could do whatever the fuck you want no matter what time of the day it is. It could be midnight, it could be when you wake up at 6 a.m., it could be when you're going to sleep at 9 p.m., it could be in the middle of the night at 3 a.m. Like, it's really crazy here, man. And for that reason, we're never going to lose that energy and that perseverance. And that's like, I don't know. The New York thing just kind of got me going. And I walk through Times Square and I'm just like, obviously it's not a place that I would suggest like tourists going, and I would suggest like normal people that live in New York go. But like that at the core of what New York is, it's like the craziness that's going on in Times Square and the lights, they make you feel alive, and the people doing weird shit all the time. It's like, that stuff I don't think is ever going to die, man. And I'm proud to live here. And I know, everyone's going through tough times, and it would be a lot easier to kind of like pack up and go elsewhere. And I think we're going to see a lot of that now and in the near future. And I kind of wanted to dive into that as well. Not trying to give like an emotional fucking pep talk or anything. I was thinking about like just business as a whole. And I've had this conversation with some of my friends and some people like in my apartment building about it. Because when Corona started, obviously all companies started to work remotely, right? And now you're seeing offices without any hesitation, like, oh, we're just going to shut down until 2021. We're not going to open up our offices again for another, we'll see in October, November, we'll reevaluate and see where we're at for them. And a lot of places are just like earliest is January of 2021. It could be longer. A lot of places are seeing the unnecessary cost of having a business with actual physical space. And I find this really interesting because I felt like I've kind of lived backwards. I always thought when I was at a full-time job, I always loved working from home. And this is definitely like a generational mindset because people that are older like never really grew up with the flexibility of working from home, right? You were in your office, you were in your suit, you did that shit 9 to 5 every day, whatever. I always thought that I was most productive and I was most happy as a worker when I had days that I could work from home and kind of, again, be creative when I want to be creative. And our society has like put a stigma on that where that's not okay. And people want you in the office all the time. Right. And that's one of the reasons why I left the corporate job. Like had I been leaving and they were like, listen, if you want to work from home 3 days a week and come into the office 2 days a week, like that's something we can offer you. Like I might have accepted it at the time. I don't know what my answer would have been, but I might have said yes because that would open up time for me to work on my other like passion projects and shit. And I think like the most productive employees are most productive when they're most happy. Right. And now you're seeing the companies go virtually through Zoom. Right. They had no other choice but to do this, but to survive through Corona by completely communicating with their employees, but also like their clients and stuff completely virtually. They had no choice but to do it. And they realized that they could. Like if you asked them, oh, if you had to do this prior to Corona happening, they would be like, no way, we can't do our job 100% virtually. And then humans are amazing, man. When their backs are against the wall, like we can really accomplish anything. And they realize quickly, like, oh, we didn't need to be together in order to actually do our jobs. Most corporate jobs, man, if you're younger and you've never been in like a real full-time corporate role, unless you're a very high-level executive, unless you're working in a very like crazy creative field, you're in there for 8 or 9 hours. You're probably realistically working for like 4 or 5 of those hours. Like half the time you spend in there, you're just bullshitting, right? And employees would be much happier if you worked from home and you worked really hard for 4 or 5 hours, but those other hours, rather than just like sitting in your chair and being on like BuzzFeed and wasting your fucking brain away, you could like work out or you can do something productive on the side. Like that's going to be a much happier person within a company. And they switched over to fully Zoom, fully virtual. So we went from one side of the spectrum where it was like, no, like not being in the office is looked down upon and it needs to be completely strictly 9 to 5 in the office. That's it. And we went all the way to the bottom of the pole where it's like everyone's working from home all the time. And what I think is going to happen is this. I think we're going to see a lot of companies try to keep it here for the next year or two. They're going to be like, oh, it worked. It's fine. It's cool. We can cut expenses this way and everyone can be productive. That's going to be a mistake in my opinion. Companies that are going fully virtual, not re-renting a place or not, in some sort of physical togetherness, they're not doing that. I think that's going to be an issue. So we're hitting both sides of the spectrum. And I think that in most aspects of life is how you get to the good part, right? The middle ground where you need to be. You need to hit one side to realize that it's bad. So you go down all the way to the other side and realize, nope, we don't need to be here either. We need to meet somewhere in the middle. What I think when I said I've worked this backwards is I went from having the corporate full-time role to working completely by myself at home all day, every day for the better part of now we're on almost 3.5 years. April, I want to say 2017 is when I left my last corporate job. Maybe 2018. I don't know. Someone could do the fucking math. I've worked this way. The way that y'all have worked during Corona is the way I've worked for the last 3.5 years. And there are pros and cons to it. But what I've been trying to do this whole time is like reverse engineer. I want to build I'm basically in like the headquarters. What I want to do again is make it a creative space. And I want people here physically, right? But not like it's not an office per se, but in a way it is. I've been trying. There's something that you don't have. There's something that's missing when you're not together with people physically. You're missing that like creative. There's an energy. I use the word energy all the time because I really believe in it. There's a creative energy that's missing when you're not together physically. There's like a brainstorming session. There is just like chemistry built. There's a lot of aspects that you're missing when you're not together physically. And you take them for granted when you are together physically, and you always want to be like at home. You don't want to be there. You hate your coworkers, et cetera, et cetera. And then when you don't have it for a long time, you start to realize that you need that. So like I've been doing what regular offices have been doing in reverse. And now they're going back to like the starting point of where I was at, realizing like, oh, we want to work from home. And I think it's a really interesting conversation to have, because they're going to realize, one, the employees, right? Like where Corona hit, I think the first like 2 or 3 months was so much like a shock to our culture that you didn't realize like how crazy things were. And by the time like we kind of started being able to live our lives again, it was spring and it was summer. So you could like enjoy the outdoors a little bit, and you could like live your life a little bit. Employees though are going to go fucking crazy. Employees that are normally used to the 9 to 5 shit are going to go crazy in the winter, especially here in New York. Like if they need to be at home all day and it's dark when they wake up and it's dark by 5 o'clock, they're going to wish they were back at the office again. And you're going to have a lot of unhappy employees, and you're going to see a dip in production, I think, when a lot of companies are going to try to start doing everything virtually, because it was a short-term win for a lot of companies because they cut expenses very quickly. It's going to be a short-term loss from the mentality of them and their employees, and missing that like creative bondature together. I have no idea if bondature is a word, but it sounded really good at the time, so I should have just fucking let it flow. But it's just an interesting conversation to have. And what I think is eventually in a year or two, things will start to even themselves out, and companies will start renting physical offices again, but they will have a middle ground for employees, and they will let employees work from home 2 or 3 days a week. And I'm sure some employees will be completely virtual 5 days a week, right? And not even have to come into the office. And I think that is probably the part that's going to most affect New York, is the fact that a lot of people live in New York. A lot of people rent in New York. A lot of people take sublets in New York because of their job. But say like you have a family, or say you like being in the suburbs, but you only have to come into New York 2 days a week. It probably makes a lot more sense to rent something half the price, a third of the price in Hoboken, in the suburban town that you come from, because you could sacrifice 1 hour of commute 2 days a week. But when it gets to being 5 days a week, when you have to commute every single day, that takes a toll on you, right, as a person. So you just say, fuck it, I'm going to move to New York and eat the money, and et cetera, et cetera. So the people that don't really like New York will probably be flushed out pretty quickly. And, no fucking wrong or right here. But I think the reason New York will be fine is because the people that are here because they love New York will stay in New York, regardless of the situation that we're in. So it's going to be an interesting time for sure for the next, couple of years. I have no idea when the fuck this COVID thing is going to start die down, if we're going to get a vaccine, if we're going to, whatever the fuck the case may be. But yeah, those are just some thoughts I've been having about the situation from like a work standpoint. And it's really interesting having worked in an office and now, kind of working in my own office, but working from home all this time. Like people are like, oh, how did it affect you? And I'm just like, yo, I was built for this shit, to be honest. I've been doing this for 3 years. So the only thing that really changed with me was my social life, right? Like obviously not being able to go to coffee shops and not being able to meet my friends at restaurants or bars or whatever is of course like a big change. But work-wise, most people had it like 1,000 times different than me in terms of the variety of change that they had to go through when all this hit. So I am curious about you guys in the audience too. Like if you're in a big city, like what is your opinion on this? How do you think it affects like the city that you live in right now? Do you think like what I'm saying makes sense, and do you think what I'm saying is probably what's going to happen there, or do you see like a completely different way? Because obviously I'm open to different opinions and stuff, but I feel like I see that pretty clearly just because I've gone through this shit emotionally already, and I think I have a good understanding of how this kind of stuff can affect humans, because again, like I've gone through it, and I have like a 3-year sample of my thought process on exactly this thing, because while everybody else was doing something completely different, I kind of went through exactly what people are going through now. So I think that's probably going to wrap up this vlog. I don't know when this is coming out. I don't know if this made any sense. I don't know if I should even put this out. I don't know what I'm doing. But I love you. And I'll see y'all on whenever the next vlog is.